So far in our hardcore world, we have basic storage, we've got an iron farm, we have a source of XP, and we have an unfinished tavern. Let's quickly fix that last one. Much better. It's got a bit more character now, although still doesn't really look like a tavern. It needs a big old sign. Maybe we can stick one on the side there. What have we got? I guess I want it to be quite big, quite large. Probably not at that angle. Let me quickly get rid of that. So, let's see what we can do here. Yep, I think that works. That definitely looks a little bit more like a tavern, and making use of the paintings there to make a fancy tavern sign just really does give it a good effect. I like. But if we quickly jump into free cam and have a look around the rest of the tavern, you can see I have added detail on nearly every wall. I do need to get some oak planks up here by the looks of it. I appear to have missed an area, but overall it's looking a lot better. Maybe a couple of windows in there as well, who knows? But it's certainly looking more complete. I still haven't made any decisions about the interior, however, I am thinking potentially leaving it as a bar downstairs or an actual sort of tavern look and feel, and then up here having some bedrooms that have got different farms and smaller things in. I don't really know yet. However, what I do know is that we need to test this iron farm and see if we've managed to keep it working or not. I have, I think, spawn-proofed everywhere around here. These are all half slabs and even the roofs outside the ledges, and hopefully this is still the only place golems can spawn, but I guess we should test that out. So the farm is now running again. I can actually just turn it on and off nice and easily now. And hopefully, this isn't going to cause us any problems. Ah, look at that! Straight away, we've actually got a golem exactly where we wanted him to be. Excellent. So although it appears to be working, I do want to test it, so I'm just going to stand here for about 45 minutes and we'll see what happens. Lots of dead golems and a bunch of iron. That's what happened. And the good news is not a single golem has escaped, so we've definitely done a good job spawn-proofing. Maybe a little bit too good in some places. So I actually have quite a few things I want to achieve today, and make sure to stick around because we are going to be adding a new building in this area somewhere. I don't actually know where yet, but it's going to be down there somewhere. But first, we've got something we need to fix, and that is the grounds around this tavern. They look absolutely awful. It's just lots and lots of deep slate and grass, and this is not how a tavern should be, or at least not how I want this upper level to be. We also need to make sure it looks good around here and of course around the back as well, but for this we're actually going to need to make ourselves a quick little farm, and that is a basalt farm. Because we don't have any basalt, we've got lots of other rubbish in our inventory, so we're going to empty all this out. We're going to go find ourselves some ice from somewhere. I haven't actually seen an ice biome yet, so that could be an interesting mission in itself. But once we've got some ice, we'll head over to the nether and just make ourselves a tiny little basalt farm. Doesn't need to be anything fancy, just needs to work. We also still don't have any mushroom blocks, and I do actually want to use some for the top of these walls here. I want to get a bit of smoother textures in, and for that we're actually going to need to find ourselves some brown mushrooms, so we'll keep an eye out for them while we're out and about as well. Finally! Oh, that took so long. We are grabbing a whole bunch of this before we go back. I think I've got just about all I can carry. Now to make the long journey home again. Finally, I can see home. And I have to say, the silhouette of that island is looking pretty cool. We've now got a bunch of ice, we've got some mushrooms as well, and we'll just put the mushrooms away for now. We'll deal with that later. But that does mean we can go to the nether and of course make ourselves a basalt generator. So over in the nether I just built a safety box, and then I built the basalt generator leading off of that. It's very simple. It's just a few hoppers leading into a chest with some minecart hoppers on top that are actually inside soul sand blocks. Then we put blue ice on one side, lava on the other side, and then we can just mine away and collect basalt. And if we were to get haste 2 up here as well, we'd be able to mine all 4 of those in one go. So it's a very quick thing, but we don't have a beacon at the moment. So for now, we're just going to stand here and mine away to collect as much as we can. After spending some levels and upgrades upgrading my pickaxe to be efficiency 5, I've managed to get almost 2 complete rows in about 10 minutes. So this is going to work very well for us. But we also need a whole bunch of mushroom blocks, so we're going to need to make ourselves a Silk Touch axe. Because our axe already has Fortune 2 on it, we actually need to put Silk Touch in this slot here, which we can't do with the book, so we've put that on an axe, and we don't have enough levels. Okay. We have our Silk Touch axe at the ready, we've got some mushrooms, and I'm hoping we can just grow some over here. That we can. Excellent. So we've got the basalt, we've got the mushrooms, and I even went and got myself some Silk Touch deep slate, and wow, okay. Well, maybe we'll wait until tomorrow. It's a new day, the storm has passed, and I think I want to make a start on these walls first, get the mushroom blocks in, and then we're going to do some terraforming around here. However, it's about time we make use of our allays, because we are going to be digging up lots of blocks, replacing them with other blocks, and that's where these guys are going to come into their own. So last episode I did ask for name suggestions for these guys, and we've had lots and lots of suggestions. However, I've currently only got one name tag, so we're going to be a little bit limited. So the suggested name we're going to go with is going to be... Oh, we haven't got any levels. Okay, let's go get a level first. Jeez. Level has been acquired, so the name we're going with is Allay, which is just absolute genius. I love it. And this one was actually suggested on stream, and I cannot for the life of me remember who it was that actually suggested that. So if it was you, give a wave in the comments. But we actually got given lots and lots of good names, punny names, one might say, while we were on stream. So we're going to be adding those as we go along, but do keep those names coming because, well, we're going to end up with lots of allays. And we could probably do with a name for the pink sheep as well. So we're going to take 2 of these with us. We'll take Allay G, you can have those, and we'll also take this one here, you can have those, and I guess I'm going to need to quickly do this and catch the ones that don't have anything. So them 2 can stay there, and the other 2, including Allay G, should follow me. Hey, look at that. So if we start putting in some of these blocks, in theory, the allays should pick up anything we leave floating around. Yeah, I think those mushroom blocks work really well up there, actually. I like that. Thank you, buddy. Oh, look at him in there picking them all up. What a legend. Well, the allays have been a great help, and I think the mushroom blocks actually suit really well at the top of this building here, and I've actually managed to get that done all the way around the entire building, just as the sun's going down as well, so I should probably go find a bed. The next step is to play around with these walls around the side, get them looking good, and just generally do all the terraforming around the edge of the tavern. I do, of course, need to put some stairs in that are going to go down here in some way, and figure out what I want to do with the wall. I've played around with a couple of things here, but not entirely sure yet. I'm not sure. I think I like it, but I'm not 100% sold yet. I think what I need to do is actually sort out the rest of the landscape around the front here and actually see if we can blend this in a bit better. I do also need to get the path here textured as well. But yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, if we look at it from out here, we can get sort of a rough idea. This will all be sort of paved around here as well for the majority. I think maybe it just needs some foliage. Maybe a big old custom tree, right? Oh, yes, that's what it needs. Big custom tree right here. And I have to say, these little dudes have been extremely helpful. We've actually just been on a 2-hour stream while we were doing this, and these little guys didn't cause me a single problem. Nope, not one. And they certainly don't have a habit of trying to get into little holes in walls and hide there. No, they don't.
That's a lie.
So I guess I'm going to need texture blocks for this area here. I'll get some foliage, we'll get a little bit in, and then we're going to build ourselves a custom tree. And while we're at it, we might do the one over there as well. I've just added a little bit of foliage down the front here. I've added in a path and some other small details, and with the lights and also the texturing on the stairs, I think that does actually pull it together quite well, and I think I'm going to run with it. But that means we've got a lot more to do. I also haven't got the tree in yet either, so let's get this tree in first, and then we're going to do some terraforming all around the side here and see how much of this we can get done. Now, if you've been around my channel for any length of time, you'll know that I absolutely hate making custom trees, mainly because I'm not very good at them. So I actually did a little bit of research this time. I found an amazing video by Meg Ray, linked to in the description, and she had a very, very cool tree, which I've kind of adapted a little bit, and I tried to make something similar, based on the tips. I think that's come out okay, but now we've done our tester tree, it's time to go make a bigger one over here. And hopefully it comes out as well as that one did. I'm actually quite impressed with that. The music's run out, and so has my patience for making trees. I absolutely despise making trees. This one's turned out okay. I mean, it's better than my usual trees, I'll be honest, but I don't know, there's something not quite right about it. It's just a little bit janky. But compared to my usual trees, there are vast improvements, so we're definitely going to keep them. And in fact, that one actually looks quite good from over here. Not so sure on this one though. But either way, I've had enough faffing around with leaves, and we're going to move on to our next project for now. We will of course finish the terraforming over here over time. We'll probably do some on stream, and we'll gradually get this area looking nice, and we'll just ignore the back of it altogether for now. What do you want? Why are you getting up in my face? So we are still in the early game here, and being in the early game means we don't really have a lot of farms, which means we don't have a lot of resources. But over the next few episodes, we are going to be building some farms, just some basic starter farms. But in order to do that, we're going to be needing lots and lots of glass, and we're probably going to be cooking up some other things. But either way, this leads us into our next project, which is to get a super smelter of sorts set up. In fact, it's probably just going to be more of a furnace array. There's not really going to be anything super about it. But I think what I want to do is get a building down here, just try and complete this area and this view looking this way a little bit more, because that bridge is looking very cool with the tree now. And what we're going to do is disguise it as some kind of a blacksmith, I think. A blacksmith with a super smelter inside, or a furnace array inside. I think that's probably going to work out. Kind of makes sense. Palette-wise, we are going to stick with what we've been doing around here already, so that shouldn't be too much of an issue. And once again, it's raining. I really don't want to build in this. That's better. Now, I've been having lots of requests recently for tutorials, particularly on how to build this house and this bridge and things like that, but sadly, I just don't get the time to do tutorials. I work full time, and I struggle as it is to get one, sometimes two videos out a week. But with that in mind, we are about to make a building, so let's do a tutorial Beardstone style. Step 1, mark out where you want the build to be, and then make the frame. Usually when I'm building up frames, I tend to make the gaps between the different pillars either 3, 5, 7, and so on. Generally, an odd number of blocks works best. Just makes it easier for placing windows down the line. With medieval builds, I generally like to make the top floors stick out a bit, but if you stick it out on one side, it's always wise to stick it out on the other side as well, because it keeps the ratio of even to odd numbers, and that just makes it easier for doing roofs. I think on this one, we're actually going to take the sticky outy bit to the next level, and we're going to have like a big sticking out bit on the front here. And this top floor's pretty much just going to be an attic room, so we're going to have a very low wall on the sides and a very tall roof. Frame complete. Step 2, add some solid untextured walls in your main block. And if you're not changing your mind at least once on every part of the build, you're doing it wrong. And there we go, the basic walls are in. Step 3 is to sort out the roof line. With this one, I think we want quite a big overhang, so we're going to start here. So it should be fairly straightforward, just some stairs and some planks. And then once again, we change our mind, because I think I want it overhanging this side as well. Now we've got the roof line in. Step 4 is to actually apply the roof, which in our case is going to be primarily a bit of mangrove. And as a nice little detail, we'll just put some fences in this gap on all sides before we do. When building with mangrove, eventually you'll find that you completely run out because it's a pain in the butt to get and you've never got loads of backup. At this stage, yeet yourself off the building. With the roof in, we can now taper down the top bit here with some slabs, some trapdoors, more stairs, and then more slabs, and then more trapdoors, and so on, just to get a nice shape on the roof. So that's the basic shell of the building down. If we jump into FreeCam, we can have a proper look around, and I highly recommend getting the FreeCam mod if you're on Java and you're doing buildings like this. It really does come in handy, but you can see the rough shape of the build. It's just lacking windows, it's lacking detail, and it doesn't have any floors on the inside. But there is also one other glaring problem with this build. It's supposed to be a blacksmith and it doesn't even have a chimney, but that's what this outside area here is going to be for. We're going to put in a big furnace here. It's going to be a chimney going all the way up to the top, and in fact, I think that's about where I want the furnace and the chimney to go. It's, once again, like everything else, just missing lots and lots of detail. Bit like my tutorials, really. Step 5 is doing the texturing, which I've made a start of down here, and the trick is to try and clump the different textures together a little bit. Don't just sporadically put the blocks everywhere. That never looks good. But by doing this, it creates a little bit more coherence, and I've used sort of noisier blocks down the bottom and smoother ones at the top there. And I also did a similar thing with the furnace here. I used a few walls and stairs as well, just to make it look a little bit more run down, but it does of course still need a few more details down here. But we'll cover that later in step 6. For now, we need to move on to doing the oak walls and the roof, and I still need to do the top of the chimney as well. In fact, before we get to the texturing, let's do some windows. So I've just knocked out a few blocks. There's lots of different ways of doing windows, but this is the style we've gone with in this little village hamlet type place we've got going on. So by using just a few trapdoors, some fence posts, a slab and some stairs, you give the window a lot of depth. And then in this bit here, we're actually just going to put more fence posts. I also like to jam fence posts up in these bits as well, just because it gives the building a little bit more character, and it gives you somewhere to hang lanterns and chains and all those sorts of things from. But enough about windows, let's sort out the rest of this texturing. That's the oak walls done and windows added at the top, and what we're going to do for these smaller windows is just put a fence gate on the front, because it gives it a little bit more detail. In fact, we'll do the same on these ones here. So this lower half is looking pretty good and pretty well textured. Let's move on to the roof, and for that we're going to need more netherrack, and we're going to need some more mangrove. Dang it. And with these few flower pots, a fireplace and another flower pot on top, I think we're just about done on the roof here, at least for now. Although I'm not gonna lie, I do still need a bit more mangrove. And the reason we need the mangrove, of course, is to finish off the roof and make sure it's all spawn-proof, because currently it is not. And bad things are going to come there, especially when the sun's going down like it is now. But although the exterior of the building itself may be almost complete, we haven't sorted out the outside here. And that's the next thing we're going to do. We're just going to mix up the floor with a bit of coarse dirt, some podzol. We'll get some barrels out here. We'll of course cover up this as well one way or another. But essentially it's just putting the finishing touches on. Chains and lanterns are a good one as well. They work really well. Little planter boxes and things like that. So I'll bring you back in once we've put in some of those finer details. And why is that trapdoor open? Well, that's looking pretty good. We've now got the little blacksmith's workshop down here. We've also got some barrels and things. And once we actually get the smelter up and running, I think we're going to have that feed down into these barrels here. I think we can probably get that working. I've also got some lanterns hanging up now, so at least the lower areas should be lit up, and the same on the sides and the other side. However, I do need to get a few more lanterns and sort out the back, but the first thing I really want to do is to make the roof spawn-proof. And for that, we're going to need more mangrove. So, back to chopping. I've just finished spawn-proofing the roof, and it looks like we've already got some guests at the blacksmith. It's not a tavern. The tavern's over there, fellas. Thank you. So as I was saying, I've just finished spawn-proofing the roof, and I think we're pretty much done. And that pretty much explains why I don't do tutorials. I'm really bad at them and I don't explain enough. But I am very pleased with how that's come out, and hopefully that's given you at least a little bit of an insight into my building process, which is pretty much all I can offer in the tutorial front. In fact, I think there's one more thing we can do to improve this. There we go, that's better. It's got a nice little sign that kind of looks like a shield, but also not. We still need to get a furnace inside this building, but that's going to have to wait for next episode, because sadly we're out of time.